Hello everyone, this is Ankit Verma, and in this lecture I will talk about the arrival of Dutch in India. Right, and at the end of the lecture we will get to know everything about the strategies and presence of the Dutch in India. We will also get to know how the Dutch arrived in the Indian subcontinent. So guys, there's a lot to learn, lot to know. So guys, let's start. The Dutch arrived in India after Portuguese, also for the trading options. Right. After the arrival of Dutch, they established themselves in the Indian subcontinent as they were looking for textiles to exchange with the spices they traded in the East Indies. They founded their first factory in Masilipatam, which is in Andhra Pradesh, in 1605. They went on to establish trading centers at different parts of India and started to become a threat to the Portuguese. They captured Nagapattam near Madras, which is now Chennai, from the Portuguese, and made it their main stronghold in the South India. They also established other factories like on the Coromandel coast in Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Bengal, and Bihar. They also set up other principal factories in India, which were Surat, Bimlipatam, Karikal, Chinnasora, Barangar, Karim Bazar, Balasore, Patna, and Cochin. Right. Participating in the redistributive or carrying trade, they brought to the islands of the Far East various articles and merchandise from India. They carried indigo manufactured in Yamuna Valley and central India, textiles and silk from Bengal and Gujarat, and the Coromandel, saltpeter from Bihar, and opium and rice from Ganga Valley. During the days when Dutch were commercially active in India, they operated several mints at Cochin, Masilipatam, Nagapattam, Pondicherry, and Palikat. The coins were all modeled on the local coinages. The English were also rising to prominence in Eastern trade. At this point of time, they posed a serious challenge to the commercial interest of Dutch, which in later years the commercial rivalry turned into a bloody warfare that is we known as Anglo-Dutch rivalry. Right. The climax of enmity between the Anglo-Dutch wars and the English and Dutch in the east was reached at Amboina, a place in present-day Indonesia, which the Dutch had captured from the Portuguese. Now we try to understand what was the Amboina incident. In 1605, the Dutch had conquered the Portuguese fortress of Victoria at Amboina, thereby taking overall of the Portuguese trading interest at Victoria. They tried to maintain a local monopoly, right, in the spice trade by keeping out the factors of other European countries by the force of arms. This caused strife with the English, which were also rising their prominence in the East trade, and because of which both the national governments got involved, thus increasing the tensions, resulting into a treaty of defense in London, in which trade in the market in spices was divided between them, the Dutch and the English, in a very fixed proportion. Despite the treaty, relations between the two companies remained tense. Both the parties developed numerous grievances against each other, including bad faith, that is, they had no faith on each other, non performance of treaty obligations, that is, none of them followed the treaty in a rightful manner, and the treaty became just a mere piece of paper which was not obeyed practically. Also, the underhand attempts to undercut each other in the relations with the indigenous rulers with whom they dealt, as they tried to lose favors and ruin trading relations from behind the curtain. Right, the English were secretly stirring up troubles, which as a result made the Dutch suspicious of the English at Amboina. These suspicions became very concrete when one of the Japanese mercenary soldier was caught in the act of spying on the defenses of the fortress Victoria, that how the defenses of Victoria works, and the fortress of Victoria, how it is defensed, or how it is, um, you can say, defensed, right? So, when the Japanese mercenary soldier was investigated under torture. The soldier confessed to a conspiracy with Japanese mercenaries to seize the fortress and assassinate the governor. He also implicated English as the head of the conspirator. Subsequently, all the suspects, including English personnel in Amboina and adjacent islands, were arrested and questioned. Torture was used during the questioning. Torture consisted of having water poured over the head around which a cloth was wrapped, bringing the interrogated repeatedly close to the suffocation, which is called waterboarding. Nowadays, this was a usual investigative torture in the Dutch East Indies at that time. Most of the suspects confirmed that they were guilty as charged, with or without being tortured. 10 Englishmen and 9 Japanese were sentenced to death. This incident ended any hope of Anglo-Dutch cooperation and intensified the rivalry between the two European countries and further intensified, right? After a prolonged warfare, both the parties came to a compromise in 1667 by which the British agreed to withdraw all their claims on Indonesia and the Dutch retired from India to concentrate on their more profitable trade in Indonesia. They monopolized the trade in black pepper and spices. There were several reasons for the decline of the Dutch in India, as they were mainly interested in the empire building in India, but was only concentrated over trade. Right? Their only concerns were to trade in India, not to build an empire in India. They were continuously challenged by the English, and according to the Treaty of Defence, they had to retire from India. And the Third Anglo-Dutch War, communication between Surat and the new English settlement of Bombay get cut, due to which 3 homebound English ships were captured in Bay of Bengal by the Dutch forces. The retaliation by the English resulted in the defeat of Dutch in the Battle of Hooghly, which dealt a crushing blow to the Dutch ambitions in India. That was the decline of Dutch in India. And so, guys, this is it. This is the lecture. Hope you